We are live.
Oh, dude, I forgot my plant. Dude, I gotta fix this.
Where is your plant? We're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Schmoozing, where half of the show is just, landscaping.
You can't go do a live stream without a plant.
You know what? That is a big difference. That is a big, major difference. Before, your wall was just a wall, and now it's got life.
I left the door open too. This is like I look bad. This is bad. I'm not planting. I'm not planting today. I'm not planting so well.
Well, I appreciate your look today, Eli. You've got a real Trevor Noah daily social distancing show look.
Oh, that's true, right?
He's rocking hoodies on every episode.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Very in tune to current affairs.
Hey, we're quarantined forever, so we might as well have some comfortable sweatshirts.
Oh my gosh. I know. It really does feel like it's a forever quarantine.
At least we can vote.
At least we can vote. At least you can.
That's something exciting you have to leave the house to do.
It's kind of strange that that's like one of the only activities that gets you out the house to go. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a great thing. What better thing to get you out the house?
Get out your house. I think we can. Let's pin this one for a minute. And say hi to everybody tuning in. This is Schmoozing with Soul Clap.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Eli.
I'm Charlie.
We're DJs. And we
used to be DJs. We used to be
DJs. Now we just sit here on Twitch and talk.
Now we talk to each other.
We talk about music. We talk about politics. We talk about climate, sustainability.
It's true.
Funny shit. Serious shit. And today on the show, we have special guests. We have two very special guests.
Dun, 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 dun. One and only Seven Davis Jr. and Brandon Lucas, who together are putting out music on the new collective, the new label from Dr. Cornel West. And we are really excited to hear what they've been up to and how they all came together.
Yeah, and like just the fact Cornel West has the Cornel West has a dance music, an electronic music label is just so awesome. I'm curious to find out more about it. I mean, I know some people have problems with politics and music coming together, but I'm all for it. And this is a beautiful merging of radical ideas, politics, music, creativity, and and I'm so glad to get to listen to some of the music on the show today.
Absolutely.
But without further ado, let's run that intro.
This is something special for you.
Schmoozing.
So that's it!
Blase, bamboozle.
Schmoozing.
Cocorico! Talk amongst yourselves.
Schmoozing.
So
Are you ready? The show's about to start.
Hey.
Yo. Let's look behind us for a second. This is an image taken at Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, right outside in New York.
Early voting going on. Can we
Manhattan?
Chris, can you pull us out for a second? Yeah.
Well, that's me.
Oh,
hey.
Hey-o. That's me. If you're out there early voting in Manhattan, respect. I got out there. I voted last week.
Nice.
But it was super Chillsville over here in Miami at the North Miami Public Library. No biggie. That looks like pain in the ass. But look, the bigger pain in the ass would be not voting and things going a different
staying
way.
how they were.
Yeah, or staying how they are. So
I made a mistake. Well, look, before we talk about anything else, look, if you are an American citizen, please vote. Get your ass out and vote. And this is it's every 4 years, it's a presidential election, and it's really important. This might be the most important election of our lives. And get out and vote. And it's actually it's this year there's so many ways. You can vote early, you can vote by mail, well, if you already have your absentee ballot. Or you can just vote at the regular time in the regular place where you usually vote. But you all should make sure you check that information. Make sure you have all the info about your state and what your state is doing. And you can actually do that just by Googling, how do I vote?
It's so easy. All you got to do, go to Google. Yeah, Chris, let's take it. How do I vote?
How to vote.
How to vote. How do I vote? Anything that you put how right. and vote, you could just put vote.
You can just
put me want to vote. And select your state. Bam. Check that out. Election day is the 3rd. That's true. And you just need to be postmarked.
And then if you click vote on person, click vote in person. If you click vote in person, then you can probably see your polling place and all that information. So where you actually need to go to vote. So yeah, politics is, this election is an important one. Politics is something we should all think about as a responsibility to do something every day to try to make our community a better place. So let's get off our asses.
Let's see what's going on in Colorado. Who's out in Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay, and this you got to do the 3rd.
Has been going in Colorado, and early voting has been going like hotcakes.
Hot potato.
There's actually, I looked, almost 70 million people have voted early at this point.
Maybe you want to check in on that graphic we were looking at last week?
Let me drop this graphic in here. I thought I had done it before, but I don't see it in the chat now. There it is. Yeah, it's wild to see how many people vote early. Already more than last year. I mean, than last election have voted. The total who voted early.
Oh, wow.
Voted now.
Wait, more people have early voted in this election than total voters?
No, not than all the early voters in last election. And we're still a week away from the election, right?
Because last week they had already had a 20% of total voters had early voted.
It's getting up there. I mean, look, we have to remember that last presidential election, only about 60% of eligible voters voted. So a lot of people don't want to vote for whatever reason.
Look at that.
A lot of mail-in, a lot of in-person early voting, 68,000 right now. It's pretty amazing. Click that turnout as percent of 2016 total turnout. That's a really interesting.
Bam.
So look some states right now we're at 49.8% of total votes counted in the 2016 election already, and we're still a week out from the election. So that's a lot of early voting.
That is great. That's exciting.
Yeah, so hopefully that means that people are out there voting and making good decisions.
That's true. That's true. And look, I mean, there's a lot of tomfoolery with this election. Obviously, as we know, as in last election, there's some weirdness, and this year, this election, there's going to be weirdness that should not discourage you from at least making the effort to get out there and do it. Saw a strange headline, though, which was from Boston, Massachusetts, that where did I go? I lost it. There we go. That a ballot box was set on fire down near Copley Square.
In Boston?
Yeah, on Boylston Street, right at the library.
We're from Boston, guys. This hits us in the heart.
Boston news. I sent a link. There's a link in there. It's just it looks like this guy is maybe a homeless guy.
His name is Worldly Armand. What a great name.
Wait, what? They got his name?
Yeah, they caught him and charged him. His name is Worldly Armand. He's 39. He was arraigned in municipal court.
I mean, I don't know why he would want to do this other than just kind of, I don't know if this is an instance of voter suppression. I mean, it is by the physical act of burning the ballots. But he just seems like troubled, mental
illness. They say in this article. I mean, this is an argument for why we need better treatment and support for homeless and folks and mentally ill folks in our country.
True.
If he could have gotten treatment publicly, then he wouldn't have burned. He might not have burned his ballot box.
Unbelievable. But then someone was they said that they found another mailbox that someone was trying to set. So people are upset right now.
People are just generally upset. I understand. There's a lot to be upset about. I made the mistake of clicking a headline right before we started the show. I am, I'm actually in graduate school right now since I can't DJ. Getting my master's in climate science and policy. So I really care about the climate and trying to figure out what we can do as humans to slow down climate change and help protect the planet for ourselves and future generations. And the current administration has systematically done everything in their power to stop any climate regulation, any kind of regulation that will stop climate change. So in their latest attack, this is something I've been learning about in class. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is a national agency that basically tracks hurricanes, tracks climate and weather in the United States. And there's these agencies around the world. Almost every country that has resources has these kind of agencies that collect data and analyze data about climate and about weather. And so this current administration in our country, they removed the chief scientist recently, and they replaced him with a climate change denier.
Oh God!
As the new administrator of this. This is not a political agency, right? This is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They help us stay protected from hurricanes, and make sure that we know and predict where hurricanes are going to go, and protect millions of people who live on coast and who are maybe threatened by climate events. So making this a partisan issue puts people's lives at risk. So this is why I care about voting, because
it's like hiring someone to do the triangulation of satellites. It's a flat earther that doesn't believe in curves.
I mean, this has been a pattern, right? I mean, they're the initial chairman of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, which, by the way, for all y'all people who are trolling out there, the EPA was a bipartisan organization when it started. It was started by Richard Nixon, the Republican president of the United States. Okay? EPA used to be bipartisan. Environmental protection used to be a bipartisan issue. It's only over the last 20, 30 years that it's become super split and partisan.
Yeah.
But the initial appointee to be chair of the EPA under this administration was Scott Pruitt from Oklahoma, who basically was a lawyer who spent his career trying to fight environmental regulation in Oklahoma and denies climate change. So you're basically appointing somebody to head the Environmental Protection Agency that's supposed to protect the environment for all the citizens of our country. Appointing someone for that to run that organization who doesn't believe that there should be environmental protection. So this has been a strategy forever, and this is why we have to vote this motherfucker out of office.
Amen. Amen.
One of many reasons. But yeah, enough soapboxing. Let's get to the music, shall we?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Let's run our Bandcamp song of the week.
Come on now.
The Bandcamp Song of the Week.
That was a premiere. We actually got James Earl Jones to do some voiceover work for the show. So thank you, James. We appreciate you. So check it out, guys. A few months back, we dropped... Geez, you know what? I have no sense of timing. How long ago did this record come out? It's more than a couple months.
This is like 2 weeks ago.
No, not this one. I mean, the original... That was like 6 months ago.
Sometime over the summer, maybe July.
Craziness. Anyway, yeah. A few months back, we dropped a great collaboration between us and Shalor. The song is called Just Succumb, and we have a great remix from Blase Vanguard coming out of Trinidad.
He's Trinidadian who has spent a bunch of time in London, which is where I met him. We met out there last year when we could still travel, and got in some studio sessions together. And then we had already recorded parts of this Just Succumb track with the Caribbean influence, and thought it would be dope to have a Trini take on it. So
come on.
This is Blase's B-Mix.
Super
he
dope.
doesn't do remixes, he does B-Mixes.
Big shout out, Lori Lava and Ashanti.
Things me say me a woman. What am I could define me? By me cause I'm fancy to love it. Yes, so now you must have respect too. To me cause this type of body and I come as a let. But them a button they never ready for me. This type of body and I come as a let. But them a button they never ready for me. This type of body and I come as a let. You think that I am. You think that I am. You think that I am. You. Them you go hard, they no easy. When I go like you want a response from me. Experience for what? No experience for you see. Not to be there for them to them properly. You boy come sense of nobody. My body, your body, your body, my body, my body, my body, my body. Yeah. How we things say we done, but we just a come. Things say me done, but me just a come. Things say me done, but me just a come. Come. Things say we done, but we just a come. Things say me done, but me just a come. Things say me done, but me just a come. Come. Things say me done. When I things say me done. When I things say me done. All I want for me, things say me done. When I things say me done. When I things say me done.
Hot. I love all synth sounds that sound like steel drums.
Oh yeah.
Nothing blasé about that remix.
Oh.
I forgot one thing in our news update, Eli, which is the Charlie's dog news of the week, which is just that our next door neighbor's got this German Shepherd, right? And she's about 10 months old. And my dog and the German Shepherd are always at the fence sniffing each other out. So over the weekend, I cut a hole in the fence and put like a pool noodle so the dogs can cross back and forth. And now I've got German Shepherd coming through the doggy door at all random times. So during that song, I just saw German Shepherd head pop through the doggy door, look at me, and then run off. That's entertainment, folks. Yep. All right. Without further ado,
I just want the dog news. I want some videos.
I'll have to start. I'll take some video for you.
Come on.
I promise.
Come on.
We'll have some reporting on site, on location. The doggy news.
Doggy.
Let's bring them in, man.
Okay, let's bring in our guest.
Let's do it. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Seven Davis Jr., Brandon Lucas. What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing, gentlemen?
How are you?
What's up?
Welcome to Schmoozing.
We smoozing.
We schmoozing.
Let's snooze.
Yeah.
Seven, did you vote today?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the experience?
It was pretty chill, actually. I was expecting to wait hours, but I just voted, got it done.
Was there any wait, or you just got to go right in?
I just got to go right in.
Nice.
Maybe they were a fan of your music.
Yeah.
And they're like, 7 Davis Jr. is here.
Yeah, I'm in the mountains in like a really kind of rural-ish area, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't know who I was.
How long have you been up there in the mountains?
About a year, since the beginning of this year.
Did you escape before all the COVID madness, or was it in response?
I landed like a week before it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right on time.
Right on time.
Awesome.
I had a similar move to upstate New York, like late last year or like last fall. So I've been very thankful to be in the country in these crazy times, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a theme for me because when I was living in London, I left right before Brexit. And then I came home to America right like on time for Trump. And then when I moved out of California, I was like, boom, COVID. So
you got to stop moving. I think that's
I'm
what
about
we've
to
determined.
again.
If you had just stayed still, none of these geopolitical events would have taken place.
Yeah.
No, just
Brandon, where are you at?
I'm in LA, in Marina Del Rey.
Nice.
Yeah. LA kid never had to leave, fortunately. So, I'm still here. I'm born and raised in Englewood.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Yeah. Yep.
Where'd you get that shirt? Another important question.
The shirt, dude. I think my one of the guys from the label Purple Label Sound, Marquise. He's one of the founders with me. I stole it from him. it's one of those outfits that you like. Oh, let me borrow that shirt when we go out, and I just never gave it back. And not intentionally, but you know how you do with your boys. Like, oh yeah, you can wear that. I just never stopped wearing it.
It's a good one. It's appropriate because it's got all the purple in it as well. So.
Yeah,
nice. Let's talk about
curious.
Oh,
I'm so curious how you
that
guys
was mine.
Together,
that was my question too.
What's up?
I said that was my exact question too.
Yeah.
I want to know how. I still don't understand how it all fits together, and it's so exciting.
Honestly, we met online, just mutual connections. We had mutual friends on there, and I respected and loved this stuff. And when I discovered Seven's music, we connected, started chatting, and it was like it felt like those kindred spirits, like we spoke the same language from the same world, and it just worked. It was easy.
Seven, you're also from Los Angeles, right?
No, I was born in Texas, raised in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
But I lived in Los Angeles for a good amount of time. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think when we first met you, you were still out in LA. I feel like we met. I remember we met at the Garden Festival, right? That was
met in Croatia.
Yeah.
I think I was just about to move to London then. But I was in LA. I was in Glendale, LA. Yeah. But Brandon, he hit me up and he was like so kind and nice. And at first I was like, this is a setup. Like this, nobody's like this. And then we kept talking and I was like, yeah, he's super cool. And it was like, we connected right away. And then he told me about Cornel West. And at first I think I was like, what the hell? Like Cornel West does music and I love Cornel West. So it's just one of those situations where like you click with someone immediately. Yeah. I feel like when I met you guys, we just kind of like clicked immediately.
I think we were in such a beautiful location at the time. It's hard not to make good friends out there in Croatia. But I feel you. So wait, can we rewind back a little further? Like, so Brandon, is Purple Label Music, is this your label founded with Cornel West, or did he come into the picture later on?
Yeah, so Cornel West, we're doing a project with him. He's been a mentor, a friend of mine for years. I've been working with him for like maybe going on 13 years. Okay. So the label is collective, and it's a label, but it's an idea, it's a movement, it's a cultural. It's gonna be a cultural institution more than just. It's not just a label. It's hard to say that we're not just gonna be putting out records. There's so many facets of it, in so many ways that we're looking to create impact. And yeah, we're doing a project with Dr. West. I think we can talk about it now, but we will be doing a project with Dr. West coming out soon. I don't know if I discussed that yet, but it's called House of West. That's going to be a project we're going to do in the new year. And he's super stoked and excited on dance music and the connectivity. He's brilliant, because when I started talking to him about it, of course he heard about it, but we got into the depth of the Black tradition and music, and the way he was able to connect. I connect, the Black tradition with music and house music. It was just brilliant to see. I think I had a conversation with myself, him, and Seth Foxler one time, and we were all just blown away about how he was just making all the connections with the music. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think in this moment, it's this is something that I feel like dance music industry has finally had some time to take a step back and look at these perspectives. And obviously, with everything that happened here over the summer with the protests and just kind of being locked in and not being able to just go out and party and like actually having to think about this stuff, it's been I think really important time to revisit this history and this like culture of how electronic music, how dance music was created by by, you know, marginalized people, by Black people, by gay people in the United States. And how that's been so, I think, glossed over globally over the last decade plus of this commercial success of dance music, how it's almost been forgotten or not even realized by so many, you know, people who've gotten into the music more recently. It's a really important time to dig back into this. And I think it's, you know, the timing is perfect for Dr. West to be involved and to make these connections that I think without with his perspective has a unique, you know, opportunity to make.
Absolutely. And I think that it's something that everyone needs, the world needs, because I think even amongst people of color, many of us don't even know the real origins of it. And we look at it as something that's European and colonized, per se. Some people don't even know it's colonized, so they didn't even know it came from us, you know? So it's really interesting. But not to take away from contributions from people from across the world, because I think, you know, it got to a certain place, absolutely. But there is something to be said about the people who are still doing it, the people who are trying to do it, and how people market the music in a certain way when it can be what it was supposed to be. You know, I always say the dance community is one of the most inclusive communities I know. You know, and that's what has drawn me to it. So, and I think it's only been a victim of the unconscious bias that many institutions are. And I think that but the dance community has a very beautiful opportunity to bring people together, because music brings people together. The dance floor brings people together, and this is the perfect place to do it.
Yeah, until COVID, in which case you can't get on a dance floor together. But the music we can still speak through our music, absolutely.
And the art, yeah. And I think that you know, Dr. West said the condition of truth allows suffering to speak, and justice is what love looks like in public, and you have to use your art in a way that speaks. I think we've seen that over the centuries and the years. That's what music and art has always been, a piece of political and civic engagement. And I think that when people say, you know, tell artists to stay in their lane, it's kind of like weird, because that is literally the purpose of art and performing arts and music and the creative arts. That's from the time when you have Shakespeare and the Greek theaters, you know, to the slave time when gospel music came about. They were talking about what was going on in their lives, the pain, the stylization of space and time. Like, you know, that's what it's about. So I think I can't wait for this renaissance of music and art to come about in 2021.
Is that a message that you receive a lot, Brandon, to stay in your lane?
Not me.
I did. Yeah, no,
I do, Seven.
I do this all the time. I mean, I brought this up in the beginning. Like, this is like, so many people say keep politics out of music, but like, music has always been politics. Music
absolutely
has always been a response to culture. You know, I'm really curious, Seven, like your experience. Like, you know, we met that one time, which is years ago now, but we've stayed in touch via email and like obviously via listening to your music and like via your Bandcamp. I've been able to kind of see some of your journey kind of like from the outside, but you know, your music has become more and more personal, you know, from listening to it. That's like what I see, how have you developed as an artist, you know, in so many ways. And I'm really curious about your journey in electronic music and your journey as an artist and a person going through this. And also as a Black person, you know, 10 years ago when you started really releasing music, there was not a lot of Black Americans involved in this culture at all. Younger Black Americans, I should say, involved in this culture at all.
I mean, let's also preface by saying, you know, Seven Davis Jr., when we look at his discography, I'm like speaking like you're not even here. When we look at looking at your discography, I mean, I already know you as a prolific musician, but like, my goodness, like you are dropping album after album and each one has such a unique personality. So I just, you know, want to let you know how like exciting and refreshing it was to put together the Run of Show today and like enjoy so much of music of yours that I hadn't received yet. So,
thank you.
No doubt.
I mean, to sum it up, like I came from gospel and jazz. I originally wanted to be in the gospel music industry. And then as I got older, it became, pop, R&B, mainstream. And then after that, I went into more like underground hip hop and stuff. And at first, I didn't really get into house because I came from such like a song structure. And I remember the first time I heard house, I was like, what is this? Like, where's the song at? Because it was like instrumental house. And then later in the Bay Area is where I got into house. I used to be in dance groups, and some of the other dancers, we went out and I think we went to an underground party in San Francisco where Mark Farina was playing. Nice. And Mark Farina was playing like, his kind of hip hop jazzy stuff then. Oh, yeah. And that like caught my attention. And then I was obsessed after that. And I started putting dance music into my personal music, like R&B and stuff. But I was like, nobody would listen to this. Nobody's going to listen to R&B, house music fusion. Like what? So I kept it to myself for a long time. And I still did like ghostwriting and ghost producing and stuff like that. And I would send my music out. I would just be like, here, you want to hear this? Listen, here it goes. So I sent one out. The song One is probably my most popular song. That's one of the songs I just kind of sent around. And then I didn't check my email for like 2 years. Then I checked my email and it was like all these people wanting to release music at the same time. And then next thing I know, I'm in Europe and it was really a shell shock. Like it was a beautiful time. I met a lot of great people that are still friends. But I went from being like an introvert to be in like a very extrovert situation. So I did what I could. I signed a Ninja Tune. I did a bunch of releases. I signed a 3-album deal with Ninja Tune. And I ended up walking away from it. And the reason why is because it was a little bit, I had been depressed leading up to that. And when all this happened, I put that on hold. So I was, I did all this stuff in dance music while I was depressed. And I felt like I needed to go take care of that. But a part of that also was, it was kind of like, I came from Plur, peace, love, unity, respect.
Oh, yeah.
Comes up on our show a lot.
Yeah. And so when I went overseas, I was expecting this like lovey, what I'm used to. And it was very politics. Like I grew up in the hood, and like there was a lot of like negative talk towards me, like stay in your lane. What do you think you're doing? Like, you should stick to singing R&B or you should be here type of stuff.
This is what you received overseas?
Yes, every now and then backstage. And I feel like I got the stuff that normal DJs get. Like, I didn't like that you transition this song to that song. Like, just the normal shit talk that you get. So
I love the audacity of this hater, like coming to your show, finding his way backstage, only to tell you, "Hey, I love your R&B, but why are you doing it on a house beat?"
We've all met that person, though. We've all met.
I remember when we first were touring in Europe and playing slower music and playing a lot, playing more classic house and vocals and more R&B and playing like transitioning, like you said. There's so much hate in Europe. They often just want what they're comfortable with. And I guess anywhere as a DJ, you kind of go somewhere and they expect something. And when you throw that on the head, people get really upset.
I think we sort of thrived on that hatred in Berlin, especially being like Jewish DJs over there and like kind of like, joking around we're back and we're planting our flag for American music and people really received. I mean, we got popcorn thrown at us and bullshit thrown at us, but like, with the same token, like we turned a lot of people on to a lot of great music, especially 70s, 80s, 90s, R&B, funk, soul, and this stuff as it's, sort of at like the core of our musical identity, among other things. But
two points with that. One is that we were uniquely prepared to do that because we were playing house music in hip hop clubs in Boston for like a decade.
We got that hatred as well.
For playing house.
Yeah, we would play house at the hip hop night. They're like, that's gay music. Yeah.
But two,
I feel like in America we're used to like playing different genres together, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of how I felt when I went overseas. But just to kind of finish, like, I had those experiences, but I also had a lot of beautiful experiences. Like, I met a lot of beautiful people. There's a lot of beautiful people in Europe. And my experience in the dance community was actually positive, regardless of what I just mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And when I kind of took a step away, because I haven't really been around, I've kind of been active behind the scenes. It was really just to kind of take care of myself and practice self-care. And then I also wanted to record like different kinds of music, like you said, like different genres. And at first I was worried, like, oh man, if I get shit for playing like a down-tempo song during a set, I'm going to get a bunch of shit for like making a down-tempo album. But I didn't. There was a lot of support, and that was in 2016 when I kind of like took a step back. And now it's beautiful because it feels like a lot of people are mixing like disco, house, trap. I saw a set where somebody played trap in between house music. So it's just different times. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Like, I took care of all the stuff I needed to take care of, and now here I am.
So you're putting out more, you're going to be putting out some new dance music, not just independently on your Bandcamp.
Yeah, because I felt like at first I was like, man, I stepped away, but it was like, you need to take care of yourself, you know what I'm saying? And now I'm like, I did all that stuff while I was depressed and I had anxiety. Imagine what I can do now that all this stuff's behind me. So, and Brandon is a part of that. He was like, we need you to come, because I knew I was going to come back around and be more social, but I didn't know when. And then Brandon was like, we need you. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll do it now.
Thank you,
come out here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, when I discovered Seven's music, I immediately like, this dude is a genius, and I just had to reach out. And talking to him, he has the, I've worked with talent all my life, but in addition to doing music, I've worked with like actors and artists and all these kind of influencers. So I understand, people very well. And just talking to him as a friend, I'm like, this dude is just an artistic genius. What he does with his music. And I was surprised when he agreed to, but he agreed to do a remix for my song "Got That Hope" with Cornel West, and it's such a banger. It's such
Can we bring that remix up? Should we play it now?
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, these are some world premieres sharing this.
Yeah, we love this. We've had a few world premieres over the last couple months on the show. Yeah. So let's keep it rolling. Chris, let's bring up Seven's remix. We didn't give our producer any
notice.
Warning. But here we go. Let's do it.
He's quick.
That's actually that was Seth. There's two remixes. There's also one by Seth Troxler, which is actually how we got connected, right? Brandon was via
yes.
So yeah, that's another.
Yeah, so I have a remix with Seth, a remix with Seven. We can play both of them, but yeah, let's play Seven.
Yeah, we can listen. To
let's play that. Let's play that 7 one first, since we're talking about it. And yeah, world premiere. Premiere.
for you to have the last word.
My hope is built on nothing less than the sun of righteousness. Solid rock, rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. My hope is built on nothing less than the sun of righteousness. Solid rock, rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand.
You know, it's actually really cool. Yeah, Seb, to hear kind of your production, Seven, under somebody else's voice. You know, I'm so used to hearing your it's so distinctive, your beats, and I'm so used to hearing your voice. So it's really great to hear this other style, this other flow on top of your beats. And you know, I also was reminded that you did this great remix of Conclave Sunny earlier this year, which I played a ton. I guess I got the promo while there were still parties because I'm close friends with Ribio from Conclave and played that. Luckily, I got to play that a bunch before quarantine because that's a really special remix as well. You hearing your production over somebody or under somebody else's voice is really a treat, I think.
Yeah, and there's more to come.
Thank you. Like that's something. Yeah, there's more to come. That's something I've always wanted to do, but I guess the people I reached out to, they didn't know how to like ride the beat or whatever. So like, you know, the universe works in crazy ways. They're like, now I'm meeting all these people that know exactly what to do, you know?
We actually have an artist on our label that we work with a lot called the Illustrious Blacks, who are really exceptional duo from Brooklyn, and they are big fans, and they would love for you to collaborate with you. So we should try to make that happen as well.
I'm down. I was going to hit you up about that actually,
because I think I reached out about it a while ago.
History in the making, folks.
Love it. Yeah,
you hit me up when I was just kind of like, I was taking care of personal stuff, but I would love to. Like, I'm working with more people now, and it's nice to be the producer for different voices, you know.
You know, Seven, good for you for taking some time to focus in and work on yourself, man. Like this industry, especially living on the road, it can really like pull it out of you. And it's really a sign of maturity that you would take a step back and build yourself up. That's like, it's very good to hear. Congratulations.
Yeah, you can't. I would say you can't pour from an empty cup. You know, you gotta take care of yourself, and and so that you can, work on your life, so you can give your life to the world. start working with this foundation.
That's perfect. That's beautiful, Brandon.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's something that's been talked about more and more in music and especially dance music, right? Is mental health, and like there's a number of organizations now trying to support musicians in mental health, but I still think it's not often enough you hear stories of people taking that time and dealing with it, and then being able to stay with music and then come back and be more complete musicians and more complete people and be able to still participate in the culture.
I think we're guilty of some FOMO or some fear that like if you take a step back that the wheels are going to stop turning of the engine that's pushing, oh, if I don't take all these gigs, they're going to go to someone else. I'm going to fall behind. Someone else is going to come ahead. But what like you said, Brandon, if you got nothing in the cup, it's gonna end much worse.
Yeah, everybody has their time. Speaking of a foundation, I work with a foundation called the Continuous Foundation, which is one of those foundations that's focused on mental health for musicians and working artists and musicians who are on the road all the time, and helping them bring some more diversity to what they're doing. Shouts out to them. But you're right. Like I basically took 5-10 years off of doing music myself, and I did the whole R&B boy band, group thing, toured and Black Hollywood thing, R&B thug role, and went behind the scenes to work on the talent side for 10 years, and it was just recently with everything that's going on, I brought it back out of me, and I jumped right into it right where I left off, how it was supposed to be for me, because back then I didn't know who I was, who I wanted to be. That I was in this group, but that wasn't me. I was like, it was kind of being like I was fitting into a box. We were fitting into this show to see Boys to Men, B2K type thing, and obviously that wasn't where my heart was. I was more of a D'Angelo, John Legend, Lenny Kravitz.
My heart will always be with Jodeci, my friend. My heart will always be with Jodeci.
I would say, but to that point, like all those things have influenced my sound to this day. Like Jodeci, obviously, has been a huge influence on me. But as far as like the brand of like who they are, like what they do, the sound wise, like Seven, I was talking about it, like. My crate of who I've listened to over the years is just immense, from the gospel artists to the R&B artists like the Jodeci's and KP's and JoJo's, and we pull from those guys all the time because it's just in us, and that comes out in the music that we do today. Probably that, to be honest, I'm thinking that little riff I do, and I got that whole it's just probably Jodeci. That's probably KC right there. I don't know.
But I guess D'Angelo, John Legend, Lenny Kravitz, they're all solo acts, so maybe there's like is it working within a group of singers? Is that where the conflict was?
I think Black music is not a monolith, as we know. There's not a specific sound, and it's just like Black people politically and culturally are not a monolith. And I think people just think like, oh, that's Black music, and I think that's what we're talking about right now. Black is not just hip hop, not just R&B.
Sure not.
R&B, as you guys know, has different sectors of soul. Summer Walker is different from Erykah Badu, and whoever City Girls is different from fucking No Name or whoever, No Beat or whoever, raps, so, and we have different areas of who we are, and I've always been drawn to the more soulful side of R&B, more than the Chris Browns, more than the Ray J's and the Ushers, who I love. I think they're good performers, but I was always on the other side, more D'Angelo, Raphael Sadiq side.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned like D'Angelo and Raphael. Like these are kind of like more like, I guess, like the artists, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're the ones who are writing. You think of as like taking their own path, writing the music, not worrying about the pop hits.
Right.
I feel like that was kind of, that came after like the Jodeci and the boy bands that we loved so much in the early 90s. But then there was like this new strain, and like Erykah Badu also, fits in that to me, right? Like,
well, and I've always been if you get to know me, I'm very both and person, So my freshman year of high school, my favorite three female artists were Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, and Missy Elliott.
Oh yeah,
all three very different artists.
Yep.
So like that's how varied I am when it comes to my music. So you would, I don't like to be put into boxes. So even with the house music I do now, I believe that what I do kind of has an underground thing, and I come from that world. Those are the things I'm actually in. Like before I even was doing music in the past 10 years, those are the things I'm in. But I don't mind doing something more electronic. I don't mind doing something a little bit more radio friendly because sometimes it's dope.
Sure, for sure. You had such a great performance for Rave the Vote. I like pulled a couple of timestamp moments from that performance. One of which was this incredible cover you did of Sade, which was super dope because I'm a fan of her catalog.
Yes.
And then I don't know the name of the other one you did, but it's I don't know if it's an original track or not, but you're like kind of sit down on a stool and start singing.
So
I don't know what the name of the song was, but those are two moments that I thought we could bring one of those up and watch one of your performances. It's pretty.
Thank you, man. So the latter one you mentioned was a cover. That was also a cover.
Okay.
This is me putting in my crates, not only as a DJ, as an artist. The track is the Yours Born track. Yours Born.
Okay.
It's called Ringo, I believe. And I sang a song called I Have Faith by Black Coffee over the track.
Okay.
Black Coffee song.
You're mashing it up.
I just mashed it up in Brandon Lucas way. So
let's take a look at that. This is the Chris. That's that is, I titled it Faith, and that's at the 19-minute 20-second mark. That's pretty profound. Let's see. Take a look.
Yeah, I just sat there and sang on that one.
Have you do you find like doing covers is a way for you to explore how these kind of sounds and your roots can then be reinterpreted? And
yes, bro, I'm doing a lot of that actually. I'm doing a lot of that. I just take house music tracks and flip them to R&B. I take an R&B track and flip it to house. I got a track I did of Eric Chris I flipped recently too. You'll hear.
If it wasn't for love, I'd be dead. 'Cause I was born of sorrow. Yeah. If it wasn't for my people, I'd be done. 'Cause I was born of pain, but I survived. I wanna fly towards my dreams, yeah. 'Cause the one within me is stronger than the one within the world. I wanna fly on a winter shade. 'Cause I'm surviving out the spirit of the people that survive for me. Do you have faith that the world can never ever bring you down? Do you have faith that the one within you will make your life flourish? Do you believe that the roads will never find you? And that the one who made you will make your life flourish? Do you have faith?
We got to hit that fan. I love it.
Hey, gotta do it.
Well, MJ moment.
I also get some Seal vibes here on this performance.
You getting the feels?
Seal vibes.
Oh, Seal. Oh yeah.
Seal.
It's an influence.
The sounds of the must see.
Hey, shouting out Lewis. What's up, man? Stand Band in the house. Detroit.
It's good.
On the edge of the world, just a way to find myself, so I can be myself again.
Got the juice, Brandon.
Man.
Yep.
As man.
Okay, Rans.
Live situation, but you got 2 days to do it.
Hey, it looks great, man. The camera, from this side of the camera, it looks awesome.
Yeah, great performance on that.
That's the 4 or 5 years of R&B group training.
You're a professional.
That's to pick it up, and that was in 2 days. That's what you see. That's the product of that in the house music form and an electronic song. There you go.
Sure.
I think that's something that's kind of been it's been missing from dance music. A lot is that like showmanship performance. Like obviously there's been big acts on DJs doing live things on bigger and bigger stages over the last decade. But often it's studio producers or just DJs who are then like just trying to find ways to have shows, or maybe playing like live live synths and stuff is interesting, but it doesn't have that same showmanship of an actual performance.
True.
We're gonna get there. That we're here now. I'm here.
Back in the day, you'd have like Byron Stingley, CC Rogers, and all these guys that are like really belters, and I think that's a good point, Eli. There's not so much
Seal.
Seal, but that's also the 90s,
Yeah.
Like there hasn't been that many new names, new faces to the genre that are also possessing that kind of showmanship for sure.
Yeah, we'll get back to it. I'm going to be doing the DJ sets and all that beautiful stuff. Just like Seven's an amazing singer as well. And we're going to make it a point to bring it back to the underground the right way. In a way, and because I think that a lot of music is if we can like step outside of that box and and do more original vocals, I think there's a world we can open up dance music to the world, to different markets, not only just people of color who are receiving more, but the ladies, man. Like I go to a lot of these shows and it's nothing but it's like a lot of like the dudes. Great, love you guys there, but if you go to a Kygo show, you go to a Rufus Day Soul show, all the ladies. So
well, yeah. I mean, that's always like that's a fine line. You want to make sure that you have got an audience that's got an equal demographic going.
I mean, that's always
that. I think that's a joke, Eli. We used to make, back in the day. You don't want to end up with a crowd that's just all dudes.
No, as a DJ, it was always like you often like you'd end up at parties, or you don't want to end up at the party where the front row is all dudes, right? You don't want that. Because if girls are happy, then dudes will be happy.
Right. And there's some areas of house music that are more, that guys are more drawn to the harder shit, I guess, and the more underground stuff. But I think it's creating a space and creating there's certain key things that, I feel that most women need to kind of like perceive like, oh, this is hot. Because I know a lot of girls who are in the techno. I know a lot of Black women who are in the techno, who are young ladies. But when you add that extra element, and I think we're starting to open it up. What kind of like Drake has been doing, what The Weeknd has kind of been doing, with Black Coffee, and there's certain like artists who are bringing that lane of like, making certain deeper sounds more digestible to the mainstream. I think we're getting.
So that maybe has created opportunities where these sounds are now.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Zevin.
I was
just gonna say, Honey Dizon did something. Can you hear me?
Sure.
You're just, yeah. I also think it's like so much about dance music also in this conversation now is just like like trying to make sure that we don't get too many bros involved. Like as the music has gotten so popular, right? It's gotten broed out often. Like this moment when when the party feels like it's like in a really nice, beautiful vibe, and then all of a sudden there's like 5 bros in the middle of the dance floor, like
broing out,
jumping up and down, and you're like, look, I want it to be inclusive, but it's that honestly to me makes me feel unsafe almost. It's like, and I could see how like for a lot of folks, if you're next to them on the dance floor trying to do your thing, that's like a very aggressive action to be faced with on the dance floor. So I think it's really trying to make sure that there's like dance floors are very safe and like people can feel very comfortable to be themselves, whatever that is such an important piece of this dance music as well. And that's like, as it's gone from underground to mainstream, is something that's not always, maybe wasn't naturally addressed, right? When you're going from a 50-person basement where everybody there knows why they're there and understands and was brought, either really cares about the music or was brought by a friend who does and kind of understands what's going on, is very different than a 50,000 person festival where it's just, people going because they see a name on the flyer, like there's a big piece of this like education and like community building that has to happen so everybody can feel safe.
Truth.
And but both for really, because of whatever it is, a part of your identity.
What were you talking about? Sorry, I bounced for a second.
You're trying to say something, right?
You were talking about Honey Dijon 7, and then it cut out.
Oh, I was saying Honey Dijon. You guys are talking about crossover, and Honey Dijon did the thing with Madonna, Lady Gaga, Kate Renata, and Dua Lipa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, Honey's she's been having
starting to cross.
Crazy crossover, and that's been so exciting to watch personally because I think she does such a great job of keeping the tradition of Chicago house alive and keeping all of that body of music and presenting it in a way that is very contemporary, as well as mixing in some of like she does a lot with acapellas and tools, bringing in a lot of also contemporary pop music into the fold, which I think is it can be done very poorly, and she does very well.
I agree. I think it's about, and it's a lot about the music and how, and you have to still have a level of, because I mean I can be called a house music snob. You won't find me on certain stages and certain shows, but I still respect certain genres when it's good. And to that point, I think that it is about the music, but it's also about the vibe, man. Like we said with the girls, like I think it's you got to create the space, because house music and music in general is all about community and about connecting as well. Hopefully we get back to that soon. But it's about when I listen to this music, where am I? Who am I with? Who's there? It's like that. It's that feeling as well. So yes, we have to be in tune to the music, but I think there's a place for the festivals when you see a name. Like a part of creating your brand and creating who you are, it's like, oh, this person name on the lineup. Hopefully that person has good music, but there's another part to it. Like this person's gonna bring this type of vibe. This person's gonna bring this type of energy in the room, and that's why people go to shows, and that's why some people win when their music is not that great because they are heavy on that side. But you won't get me over there. But I'm just saying that's why some people win on that type of great vibe.
I'm trying to digest that because I think personally as a musician, I don't like it when I don't know if I let's see. I guess the part that's harder for me to swallow is like the artist and the brand winning when the content is diluted.
I hate it. I mean, it's true. You're right. I mean, like you said, it's hard for you to swallow. Like, I'm not saying you don't like it. I'm not saying it's a thing. That just is what it is.
Can I add to it?
Yeah.
So I saw that a lot where it's like, for example, I'm an introvert. So my chatty game, unless I know you, is not always the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've experienced people that have a good mouthpiece to build this kind of hype from that instead of their music.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not hating at all, but I've seen a lot of artists that a bunch of people come to their shows because they've chatted it up at after parties or they've schmoozed, no pun intended, to where everyone's like, hey, this guy is a great person and these people are da 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 da. But you know, and in my case, like I have to rely, which is not a problem. That's what I do, rely on being creative. But it's like if I had to like charm my way to people, like, you know, for artists that are just like maybe introverted and more about the music, you get what I'm saying? Like
Totally.
if I had a mouthpiece and I just like hypnotize everyone to thinking that I was this great person, then of course maybe I'd have more people at the show. But what I'm saying is like artists like me, or we have to just like rely on the talent and on the work.
I think it's
also
opposed to the brand and the this and that. Yeah.
Also like the bookers and the people that put you in place. So if you're like, I think it's the bookers and the agents and people who can put those people in place who have the good music, and you put that in front of the fans will love it instead of relying just on a hype. You know, I think that's also a part of it, because you put your friends in, like, oh, I like this guy, I'm gonna put this on this lineup. You know, that's a part of it, doing that smoothing, that kind of smoothing.
I think it's uniquely difficult in dance music, right? Because it's so much of it is the music is experienced in the club, right? So it's the social aspect is a big part of it, and if you're, you know, good at the social side, you know, there's so many artists we've seen like DJs we've seen do so well in dance music because they're really good at the social side. And so many producers who make amazing music that maybe have always kind of bubbled underground because they never were great performers, or they didn't do that. They didn't do the schmooze. And so this is something unique with dance music, but also, you know, I would also go a step further and say like there's a lot of this like kind of boys club, right? That maybe the doors have started getting broken down a little bit now, but like you mentioned, you know, like I'm friends with this producer. We hung out at an after party. I'm going to put him on my label, or I'm going to put this white guy on my label. I'm going to put this white guy on my lineup. And this is how it's been kind of over and over again. And that's gotten us to this point. That got us to this point of like a very white, very male dominated music, like industry and dance music. And I think, you know, finally over the last few years, there's been a more equality in women coming out and DJing and having like successful careers and putting out music. And now I think it's like, how do we now expand that to, you know, to Black artists, to people of color who maybe have not had the same access to the managers, to the agents, to the boys club over the last years, you know? And I think you maybe saw that firsthand, Seven, in your experiences.
Well, I mean, I do want to. What I saw, honestly, I always felt like the politics were too much. Like,
yeah,
it didn't even have to be reality. If like one person said this person sucks live, and then they go to another party and repeat that, all of a sudden it becomes a wildfire. It's like saying Eli's beard is a weave, and then somebody goes to another party and says Eli wears a weave for beard. And then,
dude, if it turns out that it's been a weave all this time,
sudden you've got all these people saying. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you got all these people saying Eli's beard's a weave, and it's not, obviously. But anyways, this whole situation, like, people can't play the politic game anymore. We're all at home, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like people are forced to kind of be real. But I do agree with you, Eli. I absolutely love that there's so many, like, female DJs and artists coming to the front. Like, I love it. I think not just because like they're beautiful, you know, inside and out, and I'm not even like talking about their physical character. I'm just like, there's some really beautiful personalities are coming in, and then the music that they're selecting is like there's a lot of DJs that could put a lot of female DJs that could put male DJs to bed.
I agree,
and I just love the new energy.
Yeah, it's new perspectives, man. I mean, I think that's, if anything, that helps push music forward, push culture forward, is being more inclusive and allowing new perspectives in. And like, you know, part of that is like kind of democratization of the technology that allows the entry point to be so much lower now, to be able to make music and be able to DJ. I think it's, you know, a really powerful, positive thing. But that's how culture moves forward, right? Is more people being able to participate. To bring these new authentic voices into it.
I think this like I recognize this segue, and if you don't mind, I want to throw it in there. And that's seven. Like you've kind of emerged in my eyes as a curator recently, and I wanted to just speak a little bit about Secret Angels and talk about like what's going on there, and you know, if we go to your Bandcamp. You've got some artists prominently featured there, including Honey Dijon, including a band called Cave Circles, which is like really interesting. This is a collaboration with a group from New Zealand that you met on your travels, which is super interesting and super awesome music. And there's another Black Genius, which seems like another collaboration. Like, has this been happening in the sidelines, or what's going on there?
Well, I mean, when I moved back to the States, I wanted to start a label just to kind of give people like me, or you know, people that I believe in, a chance. So I just started working on it. I started out by releasing my own next releases after that to kind of get the label going, and then now I'm at a place where now I can start to release other people. But it's like a label / collective. Like Honey's on there because at one point we were talking about, we had a group called the Beautiful Children that's kind of, you know, bubbling, but we were gonna do something there. But Honey's there because, you know, it's like a support system. Cave Circles I met when I was touring in New Zealand, and he's a mutual friend of it's Cave Circles, Electric Wire Hustle, Fat Freddy's Drop, like all the New Zealanders.
Yeah,
they're just one big circle, and they've always been like brothers to me. They've always been kind, and Cave Circles is a genius. I've always wanted to release music of his, so he's been working on the album that just came out for like the last 4 years.
Wow.
And at first it was like bangers, like club bangers, and I was like, man, just be yourself, you know, because he's like a jazz drummer. He plays almost every instrument. I was just like, do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be club music. And then the other guy, Thrills, he hasn't released music yet, but he makes like great house music and is a phenomenal DJ. Black Genius is actually me and this singer named Silka was a group that we had in LA a long time ago. And we were going to put out a record, but then we kind of put that on hiatus to work with Shafiq Hussein on his last album, The Loop.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually finished that album. And then I actually left and ended up going, that's when I went to Europe and kind of did my own thing. And that's where I met you guys. So Black Genius was kind of the group that we had before all that. And yeah, with the label, I just want to like, you know, put out music from people that I like. There's no pressure. It's not like I'm telling them what to do. It's just we put it out. I only take 10% of the releases, and I just really want to like see these people succeed, you know.
I love your authenticity, Seven. Like, you're not about the hype, you're not about the rush, you're not about the hustle. You're just about quality, and I respect that a lot. Maybe we could take a listen to this Cave Circles. The title track "Ships" is awesome. It also features Silka, this collaborator you mentioned, on vocals, and it's a beautiful piece of music. Maybe.
What about love? Can't you see? I can't give nothing in between. So you can't come see me. I can't forget about your need. My way is gonna be biggest thing that you ever seen. What about love? Can't you see? I can't get nothing in between. Thought I was wanting you forever, until my body turns to leather. Thought you was acting being clever, The ship has sailed us for the better. Thought I was wanting you forever. Until my body turns to weather. Thought you was acting really clever. The ship has sailed us for the better. You see, I can't get nothing in between. My friends, they gon' be all great, just like me. This time, go see how I came, even though you think I'm not in the shot. I will take my spot. What about love? It's for me. I can't get nothing in between. So you can't come see me. I can't forget about your need. My way is gonna be the biggest thing that you ever see. Can't you see? I can't forget about my need. I was wanting you forever until my body turns to leather. Thought you was acting mean and clever. That ship has sailed us for the better. Thought I was wanting you forever.
Oof.
Yeah, man, I've been missing Electric Wire Hustle. They had such a great
Wow.
album.
Wow.
And they have, I mean, I guess that's like kind of there's like a collective out there that kind of all our homies and do music together. Is that the deal?
So cool.
Yeah, they're like a big family out there. They all live like near each other and everything.
So good.
She's got that real like neo soul kind of 90s persona, it sounds like, on that track too. Silka. That's what a voice.
Amazing voice.
Yeah.
She's got an album and like a film coming out.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And she's a Los Angeles based artist or also from New Zealand?
New York.
Oh. Wicked.
Cool. Look forward to hearing more of her voice in general.
Seb, there was a few other things I wanted to touch on from your catalog too, of albums that I had just like completely lost track on because you've been dropping them like hot cakes.
The truth is, you've been sleeping on Bandcamp, dog.
I've been sleeping on No, well, I found all this stuff in your Spotify, and I think this is the album
SOS. Listen to it on Spotify.
SOS.
Man. On Bandcamp. So
all right, so go on your band. If you're following them on Bandcamp, this album, SOS, it just sounds like there's some real like serious Motown going on. It's like this washed out reverb on almost every track. And I just want to talk, I was wondering about some of your production techniques and like what, like you've really kept this like real raw and saturated, dirty sound. I don't exactly know my question, but I wanted to kind of like touch on some of that music and maybe either listen or just like hear what was going on in your head. Because like I'm trying to paint this picture together, like this transition from traveling abroad to moving back to rediscovering yourself and experimentation. It's like some really interesting music to listen to.
Well, I mean, SOS is like, so before I even got in the house, I was like kind of the only singer in a bunch of underground rap groups. I would do hooks and stuff. And then, so SOS is kind of like my underground hip hop / Motown album, which I've always wanted to do something like that. And when I first of all, like, I love dance music, but I needed a break. God damn it. Like, my ears needed a break. Like, I've always been an artist. I've always been a music listener that just likes different kind of textures, you know? And so when I had time from touring and I was working on myself, I was listening to Motown a lot. And it was just soothing me. It's like what I needed to hear. So I became obsessed with Motown, and that's where that reverb came from, because I realized like a lot of those Motown songs, reverb was kind of the only thing they had, right? As far as effects.
Did you ever make it to
everything.
Did you ever make it to the studio in Detroit?
No, I wish. That's a place I want to go. Like when everything is opened up again, there's so many places I want to go. And that's one of them, you know?
So like
but
in studio,
that SOS album is just...
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to throw in there that...
What were you saying?
Yeah, there's a little lag. There, I want to throw in, like, when you go into Motown Studios and you walk into Studio A as part of the tour, they show you that above in the ceiling, there's a hole cut out in the ceiling that it allows the sound to reverberate out of the attic. And that's like positioned over all of the microphones. So when you have the singers and when you have that Motown reverb, it's really just the sound bouncing around the attic above Studio A. So I think that's really, I just was really fascinated how the role that reverb plays in the album.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. And like, it was just me, like, honestly, like I got over my depression while I made that album. I was going to therapy and I was just like, you know, it had been a year. I've been doing it since 2016, but 2019 is when it really like came in and I was starting to figure things out and like get over it. And the last song on that album is called Depression. Well, I forget that's supposed to be like a bonus track, but the last song, Depression, I wrote like right after I was like, you know what, I feel like I've made it over this. But that album was just me, like, you know, as an artist, there's other things I want to express. Like up until then, with the house music, I've just kind of been like, I love you, you're beautiful, we're in love, you know, kind of keeping it in certain subjects. And like, I didn't feel like I could make a house song where I'm talking about, you know, how sometimes artists feel invisible or I'm depressed, you know what I'm saying? And like, we weren't yet in that place where everyone was so accepting of depression. Like right now, everyone's like, "Oh, you're depressed. I feel for you," which is good. So yeah, I just wanted to like pay respect to my underground, down tempo, you know, origins, and that's what that album was. And I feel good about making it. Like some people, you know, in the dance community were like, "What the hell are you doing?" But the people that support me know by now that, like, you know, I'm gonna do a little bit of everything, you know.
Can we take a listen to Gang Stalkers? Because that track is really interesting. What is the song about?
It's about gang stalking, which is some people don't believe that exists.
Oh no!
Oh, I'm so curious too.
Well, let's play the song while we wait for Seven to come back in.
Gang stalker, come on, let's just be friends. Cause you follow me anyways. Yeah, you follow me every day. Gang stalker. You ain't my enemy. Cause you follow me every day. Yeah, you follow my everything. You follow me, because you followed me first. And so I followed you. And oh, what I learned. You put your creep hat on, creep around my grandma's house. I put my detective hat on and sat in front of your house. You put your left hand in, I found your whole shit out. And now you playing the victim. Hey, what's that about? Gang stalker. Come on, let's just be friends. Cause you follow me anyways. Yeah, you follow me every day.
Gang stalker.
I shouldn't be laughing because this subject matter is fucked up, but that's genius, man. It's an amazing track. What
It's
a concept.
a true story, actually. It's a true story.
I was afraid of that.
Well, I mean, if you Google gang stalking, it's a form of community harassment. If you look up the YouTube, that song's on YouTube, and there's a bunch of other people sharing their experiences in the comments, which is like amazing. I didn't expect anybody to be interested in that song because like it's such a fringe subject. But yeah, I went through this situation where for whatever reason I had people, I guess, community harassing me. And you know, when I say like came to my grandma's house, like these people had come to my grandma's house and slipped my tires and
what?
And then I ended up finding out where they lived and then kind of like scoped out because like people who know me, like I'm kind of a wild card. Like I'm maybe 5'8" or whatever, but I grew up in the hood, so it's like, and I'm an Aries with like a Leo moon, so it's like when you get me going, like I'm going. So like I found out somebody was at my house, so I was like, well, I'm gonna go to your house.
I'm laughing because I used to date an Aries.
About it.
It's fiery.
Yeah, I just wrote a song about it, and yeah, that's what it was. That album is just me like getting things off my chest that I had.
It's an incredible album,
for so
man.
long.
It's incredible.
Thank you, bro.
Oh man, well, that's fucked up though. That is fucked up.
I mean, life is fucked up, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, that's something that you bring up that, like, you can't talk about that shit on a house beat. People are in the club and they want to feel good, right? It's like there's not a lot of that darker side expressed. Although you know there are moments. There have been moments, especially I think there a lot of this earlier Chicago house had a darker side to it.
For sure.
A lot of these kind of more meaningful. I don't want to say not meaningful isn't fair because happy lyrics can also be meaningful, but like some more kind of ominous situations playing out in the lyrics.
Sorry, say it again, Brandon.
No, go ahead. No, I'll say most of the music I have done in the back so far that's been released, they do have a kind of darker side to them, even though they're house records or electronic records. I think I just put that because of what the time we're in and what I was feeling to create at the moment. I did a cover of "Is My Living in Vain," a Clark Sisters gospel group that's coming out soon.
Oh yeah,
and that's a deep house cover. And then I have another record with Dr. West that's about the pain. You know, like there's just like most of them, even though you definitely can dance to it. I think it's about. I've had some of my best moments at music shows or festivals when I feel I'm dancing on a dance floor and that one vocal come out. I'm just like, yes, and I feel the spirit. And honestly, I felt the music that I was most drawn to at my initial introduction to house music back in like 2010 or something like that, was music that had kind of a heartstring to it a little bit, to be honest. Because I wasn't the first. Yeah, I was aware of techno house music before that, but I got into the scene in more of the listening to like the Dead Mouse and like Above and Beyond and like some of those records like they got songs that are like, dude, they're like in praise and worship right now, talking about church, and I mean I got to the more underground stuff like shortly after. But that was my introduction, like listening to how the chord progressions that were used. I think music is sonically, music does something to you. It makes you feel certain emotions, and that's why in gospel music you hear a lot of the same kind of chords at the end of the gospel sermon, at praise and worship at the beginning of the service. There's certain chords that songs use to get people into the spirit. And I think that music can do the same thing. And I find myself being conscious of that when I'm creating music about what vibe I want to create. And that's the kind of chords and music that I push out there, even though it might be electronic dance music.
For sure. Are you hit, Brandon? Do you listen to Louis Vega at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Louis got a great. I mean, he's got he's made so much music. But there's one cut, the song "Dance," which is the three wine-ins and the Clark sisters.
My favorite song.
Just such wicked.
Three wine-ins.
Yeah, this is such a great fusion of.
He's a gym homie of mine. We always get on each other and push each other.
Wicked.
Yeah, that song, that dance, make me. Yeah, that's in my crates. That's definitely my crates.
Okay, wicked.
I also started thinking about after we were talking about more darker lyrics. I mean, we actually had this track called "Lonely Sea," which was like Charlie's kind of expressing those feelings of being on the road and feeling very lonely and depressed.
Kind of I was completely fucking depressed when I wrote that.
Right. that was one of our initial songs that helped propel us to people knowing us. Was maybe because we did this take at that time on house music that was much more moody and introspective.
Yeah,
I think it happened for sure.
What happened?
No, like there are house music songs over the years that have been more introspective, more moody.
Absolutely.
Especially on the electronic side, and I think that's why there's, I can't see myself being put into a box just like house, but like electronic in general, where some songs you might vibe to, you might not be dancing, but you're gonna vibe to. I think a lot of 70s music is like that too, as well.
I mean, I think is Seven getting is his mic a little screwy?
Yeah, we're getting some weird interference.
It's all good. I think that just like any music, any songwriter can arrange the gamut of emotions.
Mountain Wi-Fi.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Seven.
Mountain Wi-Fi.
Oh, gotcha. Mountain Wi-Fi.
Yeah. No, my hillbilly Wi-Fi is messing up.
But
messing up.
I feel like from like a songwriting perspective or a music creations perspective, joy, religion, depression, and life's difficulties. These are the motivators for songwriting and creation. And I think that around the Lonely Sea time, these depressing thoughts that I was having in my head, I found that when I dove into them, the outcome would be songwriting or music that I was really proud of. So, it took me a while of kind of keep pushing on that painful button over and over again, because I was very driven to continue creating, and that seemed to be the source of inspiration for me. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that was only one facet of my ability. So that I don't know if. I guess what I'm saying is that I feel as though as long as it's whatever the songwriting is authentic, that I think that translates into something that's a successful piece of music.
Right. I think a lot of DJs and producers these days, they take a sample and just because it's cool and it's hot, like, oh, that's a cool gospel sample, but they're not understanding what it means, and I think when you come from that place of like, I'm feeling this way, I'm going to use this sample, if it's a sample or original, whatever, but you're using a sample because it's talking about I got joy or this or that. Like, if you're really in it, as opposed to like it's just cool, it comes from a different place. I think
totally.
I think you have to. I think you feel that when someone leads with that with their music, it's so apparent. It's so apparent if it's like they just think something. If it's a cool banger, as opposed to like they really felt that when they created that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
And it doesn't have to be a sad song. It could be a happy song. It could be a song about love. When someone really went through that and really felt that.
I think that's like we were talking about that when we were kind of chatting before the show. About appropriation and how taking these samples out of context, that at least it's very important to have an understanding of the content that you're sampling, before you just kind of go and misconstrue the message of the music. And as we're like in this, because like we've I mean, I guess we've all been in the music industry for a long time. Eli and I have been around since, like the samples have been used, and now 20 years later, there's new music that's sampling the song that sampled the song. You know what I mean? But whoever sampled the song, they cut out, everything but this. Now the new guys that are sampling, or new girls, the sample is even less content. So you're getting even less meaning and even less of the original vibration, which is kind of like resulting in this new culture of watered down sample based music. I don't know if you guys are experiencing this.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree with you on a lot of levels, but then there's also always like creative moments when it's like unaware of the history of the sample, and there's still an amazing way that something is unlocked, from one of these classic samples, or from a sample of the sample that creates something new and powerful that somehow taps into that original spirit. And that happened, right? It's like,
it's not just house music that's doing that, though. I think
any kind of music.
R&B, hip hop is doing that a lot too. It might be a Tory Lanez and the Shanti, they're flipping old school songs, but they do it in a way where they take the sample and then they might use the word, but they create a whole new song around it and create new words or new context around that hook, as opposed to like taking it down all the way. It's interesting.
I mean, it's also like, do you have to understand, or do you have to know the original song? Do you have to understand the original context in order to make a meaningful song that samples it, right? Like, part of the beauty of sampling is sometimes you don't, because you're blissfully ignorant.
And you make, make your own thing from it,
I guess the problem with that, though, is that like then you run the risk of taking something out of context completely, like sampling a gospel record, and then like and this could become offensive to the originator.
Well, this is why it's so important to license, like, and especially in this time, right, where we're dealing with so many musicians who have no way of making a living, that like this is not a time to release songs with samples without crediting the original artist, right? One, because it gives the original artist a chance to approve or disapprove of your use of their sample. And then two, because musicians need money right now. I mean, everybody needs to survive on all levels, I think. So this is something that I think has become super accessible, super acceptable. And like, we're also guilty of this, of releasing just using samples over the years. And I think it's important to think about it, as an artist using samples. Like, what are you doing, and how can you contribute to the history, not just take it and use it as your own thing for your own benefit.
I think that's what my point was, which was putting a little bit more thought into it. But I guess you're right that like there does come some magic of sometimes when you're ignorant to the rules, you can kind of create something interesting and new.
Right, and I think that's why I fell in love with house music and dance music in general. I was able to hear those moments, and I actually was excited when I would hear a gospel riff or gospel sample or a chord progression that I know came from somewhere, and like it connected me to the music. But to be 100, after a while, it was like after the 100th time, it's like, who's doing this? Like it's like some random white guy from Newcastle, like, and it's great. I love it, but after a while, it's like, why aren't my people like putting out this music benefiting from this? Or why aren't we doing it? Like, it's our music, I mean, it's music is for everyone, but at the end of the day, it just kind of got like, okay, like especially when it got to the 90s stuff. At first it was like a sample a lot of gospel things, but then it got to like start sampling Brandy. Now that's my music. That's what I grew up on. Like, what? Like, hold up. Now we get into like 90s and 2000s. Hold up, let's slow down. I mean, I don't know.
I guess it's difficult because it's like, who's going to be who's the judge here? Like who's passing the judgment of what's okay and what's not okay? Like, I might hear something and be like, wow, that's a really creative way to use that. And then I'll hear someone else do something that's maybe much more obvious. And I'll be like, why are you touching this very obvious sound, And because something is very obvious and popular, maybe that translates into a lot of people appreciating it because it's something that people know. But to me, maybe it was like too obvious. Like, I don't play with that one. You know what I mean?
Right.
But too obvious to you because you're from a generation maybe where that song was already a hit, whereas somebody
Right.
who's using sampling it never heard it before. There are people who listen to it and never heard it before.
Yeah, but there's a lot of DJs who like take a song like to me, like there's a lot of kids younger than me who are like, oh, I think I know who Brandy is. I think I know who Monica is. I think I know who, these R&B 90s stars who were gods to me, goddesses to me. So but they will take a track, they would take a next track, like a R&B group track. Next. And literally change, like it'll be the
like
same.
The R&B group next.
Yes, yeah. And they'll change it. They'll create a house music sample on it, but they'll take the name and change the name of the song so it's totally different and on the face is unidentifiable from the group next, like unless you know the sample.
Right.
So they'll take Too Close and they'll call it not close enough or something like
that. Yeah, and it's just like okay.
And like Eli and I would probably look at that and be like, why are you sampling Too Close? Like that's like
the most
obvious sample. That's the most obvious. But you're totally right, E, because I remember when we were doing like some roller skating party, and I think we were talking to Louis or something, and be like, "Can you play this record and that record?" He's like, "Oh, you would never play that record in a roller skating rink." But to us, like it was like of the similar generation or like sonically something. You're right, like. I might be trying to like pass judgment on this generation, but I might be screwing the pooch with the guys that were there in the 80s and 70s.
Right. And I agree with you. I think there's beauty in the bliss and like coming into it with a fresh pair of eyes. I think that's where you have to do the work to like elevate other voices outside of your own. So you can see like, so you can be enriched by what this is. Like there's certain gospel songs, Seven and I were talking about, that huge DJs have put out that I literally was at my church sang every Sunday, that I literally saw my grandmother with the Holy Ghost crying her eyes out when I'm 10 years old with the Holy Ghost because she was going through shit, saying like I'm going up all these gospel songs. So these songs mean way different to me in my tradition growing up in a black church than somebody who just randomly sampled because it was really cool. And it is really cool because some of the best singers in the world come from gospel.
Absolutely.
I think a big piece of this is like the credit, right? Is like credit where credit is due, right? Like you can sample it, and part of the beauty of electronic music, of dance music, is that there aren't really rules of how you make the music. Mm-hmm. You can use all kinds of loops and make something amazing. Exactly. It's like a genre-defining hit. But like, how do you then look back and credit, the ones who came before, either directly by the sample or indirectly by the fact that you're kind of influenced by their music, whether you realize it initially or not.
Right. Or just the name of the song. I think like they just totally changed it. I don't know. It's just really, and by the way, I love it. Again, that's why I came into it. Like I said, there were certain songs that I would listen to. I was like, shoot, is Yolanda Adams about to come out and start ad-libbing at the end of this? Like it would be like a random, like, I don't know, a random, house music track that I felt like it could totally, the pork brusher totally work in a gospel setting. I could totally hear Tamala Mann coming singing at the end and Sarwell, and I don't know. But so I think the roots are there. I think it's just about people understanding where it comes from. And that's it. Because Seven does things totally different than a lot of house music people in the house music game. And he's gotten flack for it, but as you talked about earlier, he's been consistently putting out different sounds with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we connected, because we're not afraid to take chances and do this electronic music differently than many people have heard, and it's okay. We might not, many people use samples, we might actually be singing it,
That's the beauty of actually playing the music, right? And not just sampling it, right? That's because that's like your voice then being on it, not somebody else's voice.
Which is cool. We're going to work with different artists and do samples and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's also, something where, Sev sings on a lot of his music, and I know that on the underground that can be a little like weird for some people, but they'll get over it.
Get over it, you haters. Enough. Like what they're called, artists.
Right.
Supposed to make art and music and be creative. Don't just follow some cookie cutter.
Yeah, Like I love, like, that is my scene, the underground. I love it, and I think that in the people I know from that scene, when they hear the right shit on right up top of the right shit done right, they're all over it. If it's good, it's good.
If it's good, it's good. Amen. That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing having you guys here. Is there any last music you want to throw on there? Would you say, Seven?
Nothing. This lag is like crazy.
Yeah, man, that mountain internet.
That mountain internet. We ask you a question, you like
hillbilly lag.
Respond like next week.
Right.
I respond in 2 weeks.
It's like in reporting events when they're like trying to talk to the field reporter.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like they're standing there, they're waiting. And then finally they're like, "Oh yeah, well,
that's right, Eli. We're here live."
Yeah.
So to close it out
from these damn mountains, and next time we talk, it'll be better Wi-Fi.
He'll be out here. We're making that happen. I also released
I don't know about all that, but in California.
California. We've been having this conversation for a while, guys. So I also released a little promo song. I did a cover of a Mary J. Blige record.
That's right.
Over a Sasha Rabati track. Just something fun I did even before I did that song, even before I really knew what I was about to be doing and what I was being called to do with this, with this label and with this music and with Seven and everything. But I did that just for fun and released that. And yeah, so check that out. It's called Low Key Goddess by Sasha Rabati, Brandon Lucas vocal edit. It's Love No Limits, Mary J. Blige. So much
super dope. Do you want to should we take a look at it before we go? Or you want to save
it?
Yeah. Let's pull it up, Chris. We'll take a look at this and
it's for the ladies.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, he's asking for the link. Here you go, Chris. Yeah, that was a dope one. I'm glad you brought that up, Brandon, because we skipped over it.
Yeah. There's also that Seth Troxler remix, but I think we're just gonna have to make. I think
we gotta save that.
We have to have a special day for that,
Yeah. It's for the ladies when you got cheetah print walls.
There's no need to tell you. As far as I can really be calm, love's been here for you. So you don't have to worry at all.
So 90s.
Right back.
I make sure you're satisfied. 'Cause there's no one thing to the joy I bring. I wanna give you all my love. So I'm loving you. I'm loving you every day. Loving you every day. Said I'm loving you. Loving you every day. Loving you every day. Said I'm loving you. Loving you every day. Loving you every day. Said I'm loving you. Loving you every day. Loving you every day. Said I'm loving you. Loving you every day. Said I'm loving you. Loving you every day. Baby. I'm in need of your love. I'm in need of your love. I'm in need of your love. Give me that touch. Baby. I'm in need of your love. I'm in need of your love. I need so much. Baby. I'm in need of your love. So much. I'm in need of your love. So much. I need so much. Loving you. That's all I wanna do.
I've got an important question, which is, have you had a body like that since you were in the boy band? You kept that up the whole time?
It was gnarly how much we rehearsed. I haven't done any of this since 2 days before this.
Oh no, but you still got your abs, you still got your pecs. I mean,
we say
you
we gotta keep it together though. Over the years, I did the acting, I did the modeling thing for a while, but but for the past 10 years, I've been on the business side, and then that literally was 2 days. I did a full Rave the Boat show, and we had a rehearsal with the dancers, rehearsal with the band, work for everybody, and that's it. And that's usually like a week of rehearsal I should have had, you know. But yeah, it's funny how the guy, you know, when you say like it's like riding a bike, you know, it's like I think that's what it's like, you know, just kind of getting back into show mode.
So I got a question too. Has Sasha Robati responded since you released this?
We actually spoke several months ago, again, before I was doing any of this. We have a mutual friend, and I told him like, yo, like I did this, I had this cool idea. I was just in the studio, you know, I had some stuff, and I was like, I just want to record, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Went to the studio, did the idea, mixed it down. I told my homie like, yo, like connecting with your boy, and I talked to him. I was like, yo, are you cool if I put it out? Like, man, it's pretty cool. Like, you just talk to my label, it's fine. Didn't even do anything about it. Didn't do anything with it, and wasn't gonna do anything with it. I was gonna put it out like just on YouTube on SoundCloud,
yeah.
Which I am. And then fast forward a few months later, it's like, oh shit, now I have like a full record, like a full project, and things are happening, and, you know, so. Hey.
It's a dope cut. It's a great Mary J. Blige song, and it's a cool idea to do that. It's like super postmodern what you're doing, like taking music from here and there and melding with like songs from your past or an R&B. And I mean, it's going to be hard to think about that. That's a Dirty Bird record, I think. Yeah. It's going to be hard to think about that record without your vocal. You know what I mean? After hearing it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, that's interesting. I love that postmodern. I didn't even think about it like that. Postmodern, I guess, something that
for sure.
We haven't really seen it yet, you know. We seen it on the more pop side, like how pop has been infiltrated by like the more EDM dance stuff, but we haven't seen it in the more deeper side, and I think that's what we're trying to do here.
You're like creating the mind of the DJ, but like with your voice, you know, mashups and remix and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I have a few of those. You know, I don't want to get stuck in that. Obviously, I have several original tracks or whatever. But I definitely, my mind does always go to like, ooh, this sounds dope with this, and ooh, that sounds dope with that. You know, I'm constantly doing that with my music. I have several songs that I did to like have a song with fucking like a Nora and Pure track. I don't know. You know, like I did some stuff with DJ Clip. You know, like one of his tracks. You know, like. Just random shit where I would just sing a contemporary R&B song and do it over this like already released track just for fun, you know?
Yeah. Super cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I want to end with one of my favorite 7 tracks.
Yeah.
Dropped in there. Which is Friends, which is such a great one.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think I'd love to close with that one and just.
Is this a video or the
no? It's just the artwork that was on Classic Music.
Yes, it was.
I remember buying this record, and just love it. Just being like, wow, this is an amazing step in house music.
Super jam.
Thank you, man. I've got new house music. I've got new dance music coming.
Oh, can't wait to hear it. And now hearing at the top of the show about you seeing Mark Farina, this stuff always made me think of Mark Farina, Derek Carter. Especially Derek on this one.
Original.
It's been a long time no see, but you on my mind. And I think about you all the time. Day and night, I'm so happy to be coming home again because I miss you so much. It's been a long time no see, but you on my mind. And I think about you all the time. Day and night, I'm so happy to be coming home again because I miss you so much. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. I can't wait to get just a little privacy, so I can do what I want to without people tripping all the time. And I can't wait to get around people that I like. You understand what I got to say? I can't wait to get just a little privacy, so I can do what I want to without people tripping all the time. And I can't wait to get around people that I like. You understand what I got to say? It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends.
Man, I miss being with all my friends.
Amen.
It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. Cause I'm running out to buy. It's serious all the time. And I can't wait to relax. Yeah, I've been working basically bills. And it's time to get my girl. And I want to go out play. Cause I'm running out to buy. And I can't wait to relax. Yeah, I've been working basically bills. It's time to get my girl. And I want to go out play. Cause I'm running out to buy. It's serious all the time. And I can't wait to relax. Yeah, I've been working paying bills. And it's time to get my girl. And I want to go out play. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends. It feels good to be with all my friends.
Yes.
Damn.
You know, Seven, I was reminded before we say bye, there was this I was doing some research for the show today, and I noticed you participated in a compilation a couple years ago called Bring Down the Walls. A benefit album against our mass incarceration here in the US to raise money, fight that. And I saw you did a track on there with a formerly incarcerated person. Is that correct? How did that come about?
The organization Creative Time hit up me and Honey Dijon and said that they wanted us to be a part of the project, and so they wanted us to remake, a legendary house song. So me and Honey worked on that remotely. We did the instrumental, and they sent the instrumental to the vocalist. We never met, and then he recorded the song, and it was pretty cool. But we did it remotely at the time. It was way before all this. Honey was on the road. I was, still taking care, doing some self-care. But yeah, I thought it was a really great project. Like, I've never been to prison, but I've had, problems with the law when I was younger. So I just thought it was really, really cool to kind of like give those voices a spotlight. Because I'm sure there's some great artists that are unfortunately in prison,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of work with an organization. Well, I'm totally blanking on the name right now.
Give a beat.
Man. Give a beat. Yeah, Give a beat. It's an organization that uses dance music and DJs and producers to help fight mass incarceration and also to educate and empower incarcerated people, especially coming out and using music and helping them with business and music skills. For sure. And so I've actually been communicating with an incarcerated person in Nebraska named Russell Waldrow, who's an amazing poet, and kind of through his time being incarcerated has, written just incredible poetry and rap and all this stuff. And so just working on kind of mentoring him and helping him plan for what he's going to do when he gets out soon. So I think it's amazing. There's so many talented folks who are incarcerated, both justifiably and also unjustly here. So I think it's important to talk about that stuff.
That's amazing.
For sure.
It's amazing.
And this is great. Bringdownthewalls.bandcamp.com. You can support that compilation. It's a dope compilation. Actually, our friend Morgan Wiley is also produced the track on there. So it's amazing. It's dope. There's a lot of dope music on here that I'd heard a couple and then forgot about it. But now to go back and listen to the whole album was really amazing.
Excellent, man.
All right, y'all.
That up.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Seven.
Can't wait to see how the movement develops. And Seven, can't wait to hear your new music. And
thank you guys so much for the support too. It's
exciting.
Every time.
Yes. Hopefully we'll work together on some more projects in the future.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait.
Love it. All right, guys.
All right.
Peace. Shoot, man, I had a vinyl thought ready to go, but I'm kind of intrigued by this Bring Down the Walls compilation. Maybe we should play a cut off that. It's sort of non-traditional.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I had actually heard this. Larry heard Robert Owens Bring Down the Walls 2.0 with Cameron Holmes who was the incarcerated person. But wow. I mean, let's play the Seven and Honey track since we just had Seven.
Amazing.
On here, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you just go to that link, Chris? And it's track 7, Honey Dijon, 7 Davis Jr. and Q Williams.
I'll save my vinyl thought for next week.
Next week we have a special election edition. Next Tuesday is election day. So go vote early. Make sure you return your mail-in ballots. And we'll be talking about the election. Big day. And don't forget that because of all these mail-in ballots, and a lot of states can't even start counting them until election day, we may actually not have results until after next Tuesday. So don't think that means our system is broken. It just is unprecedented times with the global pandemic affecting how we can vote. So keep that in mind. And yeah, go vote, y'all. And mass incarceration. Okay, peace.
See you next week, y'all.
doesn't stay sad long. Another love soon comes along. That's the way love is. 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 Two people don't get along. They have feelings very strong. They try hard to conceal it. Their heart burns 'cause they both know they can. Oh, that's the way love is. That's the way love is. That's the way love is. That's the way, that's the way. Love was a leaf without reason. Didn't change, just like seasons. And love was perfect. There's no use in pretending what's behind the curtain. That's the way love. 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 That's the way love Sometimes it's so unfair when the feeling's no longer there. Sometimes it's gratifying to see and know that I is. That's the way love is. That's the way, that's the way, that's the way love is. That's the way love is.